Throughout this training, or at any time you need support, there are many ways to contact us. You can follow us on all major social media platforms or email us directly via our website, or you can click the Cancel Connect icon shown at the bottom of this slide on our website to book a consultation with one of our experts.
At many companies, it can feel as if there are hundreds of miles between departments. As a unit is progressing through a process, whether it's a person or a request, it typically goes through multiple hands. And if these hands are not tightly coordinated, it can cause repetitive and significant problems. In small or startup organizations, the whole company typically starts out on the same team with a high degree of alignment and collaboration. And if they do it right, as they grow, that collaboration continues throughout the organization. But that doesn't happen through luck. That alignment is largely the result of a conscious decision to work together, set goals, and create agreements as they grow.
One of the most critical steps to ensuring that your newly improved process is successful is creating a service level agreement, or an SLA, to strengthen the handoffs within the process. Traditionally, an SLA serves to define exactly what a customer will receive from a service provider. But SLAs serve internal operations as well, and these agreements are the most important.
A service level agreement, or an SLA, is a contract that establishes a set of observable behaviors or actions that one party has agreed to provide to another. In this chapter, we are covering internal SLAs between one department that delivers a recurring service to another department within that business.
By this phase in an improvement project, you have just implemented a new way of working to solve a problem. In this module, we're focusing on the key moments between the steps in the process. Our processes succeed or fail most often in the moments between the steps defined in your process map, in the everyday processes that we use to get things done. These are the unspoken rules, how things get handled, the acceptable behaviors. In a team working in a newly improved process, these norms of behavior are not well established, and there will be issues that surface. And these issues will cause productivity, quality, and relationships to suffer. For a new or newly changed process, there are not established rules or defaults for acceptable behaviors.
Teams that do not put the effort in to address these issues create resentment amongst team members who have different standards of performance. They encourage mediocrity, and they often miss deadlines and goals not achieved. And these issues put disproportionate pressure on leaders to address problems with discipline. So this is why things have to be spelled out. Expectations must be explicit and agreed upon.
Successful teams develop patterns of behavior that are agreed upon and practiced by team members. Over time, unspoken rules about who does what and how things in general will be handled start to emerge. These general expectations become the rules of engagement and define, sometimes without being explicit in any way, how the team operates. They're the guides to action for a team, the defaults. So even when faced with a new task or even a crisis, no time is wasted in deciding what roles people will play or how the team members will interact.
Teams that take responsibility stay on top of actions. They're not afraid to ask for updates. They identify problems quickly by questioning each other. They establish respect amongst team members who are held to the same high standards. And they avoid excessive bureaucracy around management and correction of actions. A few important things to remember are that teams cannot be held accountable. Only individuals can be held accountable. In order for service level agreements to work, people have to be open to feedback, and that feedback must be in the form of facts, not feelings.
The key to creating standards to aim for is focusing on observable behaviors. SLAs focus on observable and quantifiable behaviors. What do we mean by observable? It means that we must be able to see it and quantify it. It cannot be an opinion, like saying, you don't work with a sense of urgency.
I don't like you.
We have to be able to quantify it so that we can clearly communicate it better to someone else, and therefore we can do something about it.
When an SLA exists between departments, it details the observable behaviors. We ask ourselves, what does a sense of urgency look like? Think of examples and non-examples of the behavior. Identify where and when the behavior occurs, and ask why it's important that we improve this specific behavior. Now let's look at a few examples. So, hey Claire.
Yeah.
What if I would say to you that your team doesn't work with a sense of urgency?
Then I would say, what does a sense of urgency look like? So you might mean it's responding within 24 hours. Then our next question is to think of examples of that behavior. For example, we're talking about responding within 24 hours when responding to email requests. And then we look even further and say, when and where does that behavior occur? And we find out that we're talking about when we request support for a client inquiry. And then to wrap it up, we say, why is it important that we improve this behavior? And we realize it's important because it often makes or breaks our ability to deliver the product on time. So Rian, what if I said to you, your department is often rude?
I'd say, so what? But I'd ask, so instead of saying they are rude or don't be rude, we could ask ourselves, what does not being rude look like? In this case, we have to dig a little deeper. The example of the behavior is that you roll your eyes every time I ask for help. Because this is a partnership agreement, we find that there are two sides to this issue. For example, I roll my eyes because people ask questions without completing the request form, and they interrupt me at the busiest times, which is always. So it turns out that the observable behavior that we'd like to see is to come prepared with a completed request form when asking questions. Identify where and when the behavior occurs. The behavior occurs after 3 p.m. when we are working on our daily deadlines. The standard is to come before 3 p.m. And why is it important that we improve the behavior? Because the interruptions and lack of information causes delays in completing deliverables.
Nice. Let's say that the initial problem is that one team is not considered to be team players. After discussing what this means, we identified the observable behavior is that decisions that affect other areas are made without consulting those involved. We can turn this into an agreement that says consult cross-functional teams when prioritizing the daily schedule. Why? Because it often makes or breaks our ability to deliver the product on time.
So one more example. One team thinks that the others does not take pride in their work. What's an observable behavior? They agree that there are too many mistakes made. Upon further discussion, the team making mistakes clarifies that there are no guidelines for how to do the work for a specific customer. So the team agreement is that clear guidelines will be provided, and they will have a tight feedback loop to clarify questions and issues. This is important because the current level of mistakes is causing delays and customer dissatisfaction.
Internal SLAs between departments provide numerous benefits to the entire organization. Managing expectations, boosting productivity, and increasing employee morale are all direct advantages. SLAs also provide indirect benefits. They can help to prioritize work, and as an incentive to provide good service, they lead to better overall system performance. They can also help foster good relations between departments.
The service level agreement template is provided for you to use for each agreement between the teams involved in your process. The two parties in the agreement are listed at the top. In our example, this agreement is between sales ops and the warehouse. The team agrees upon the most important handoff and flow issues between the teams or functions. Once the specific observable behaviors are documented, the team meets regularly, for example, weekly, to provide feedback on how well we are meeting the requirements. In this example, sales ops agrees that they will provide sales order accuracy. The warehouse team rates them on their performance to the standard. In this case, the warehouse team gives them a 1, which means they sometimes meet the standard. The cells in the template provide drop-downs for the ratings of 0 for not meeting, 1 for sometimes meeting, and 2 for consistently meeting the standard. The team have a productive dialogue about the challenges to meeting the standards, and they will work together to solve problems and continually improve. The scoring at the bottom of the form provides a means for the teams to track their progress.
And here's your 1-point lesson for SLAs for your project. As a part of the control phase, we're focused on creating SLAs to support our new improvement. While SLAs can become an integral part of all processes in a site or an organization, our focus here is on improving the behaviors that are needed to sustain success with our project results.
It has been our sincere pleasure being with you through this part of the training, and we thank you for your dedication to creating a better workplace and an environment that you can truly enjoy.